All right, so you touched on what I wanted to ask you about the corporate element, because DPA has been making some serious moves on the continent of late. Speaking broadly on the continent, there's the most recent one, DPA and Metal Solar, sorry, is 1.2 investment into the East Africa data center. There's also the most recent one with Zola Electric for the distribution of their systems. Um, Focusing more on Zimbabwe, I know Africa, there are a lot of things happening on the continent because of the span that DPA runs. But coming to Zimbabwe, the deals with, for example, Econet, the one for Schweppes, Econet, Kefalos, Sari. Um, how is the navigation of the Zimbabwean market going? Are they receptive towards DPA's push towards transforming their business to a solar or renewable, to a solar and more renewable angle? Or are you facing some resistance in that?
No, I think let's stick on Zimbabwe, as you say. We found both the regulator and the government a great ally in the energy story. Maybe we say, as they say, necessity is the mother of innovation. So we found them to be a lot more progressive and a lot more receptive than we even thought. First and foremost, from a regulatory framework perspective, they've not put any spanners in the works. If anything, both the current minister and the previous minister, they've been very forthcoming. We talk almost very regularly, which we like a lot. The regulator have been very progressive and very forward-thinking in terms of saying we need to find a solution. Because when you look at energy, when I deploy a megawatt at Schweppes, what I'm able to do is I am actually substituting or saving the government the much needed forex, which could be used to buy drugs and food, by making sure that we are taming the sun. Because when we tame the sun, we create, it's an abundant source of energy. You save the company from a cost perspective, because solar is the cheapest form of energy today. So you don't need to run a generator during the day. You can run your solar plant. We have also innovated to be able to integrate our generator to our solar PV. So today, you could actually put a 1 megawatt of solar and integrate it to the generator and integrate it to ZESA, which means you've got a full hybrid solution that works whether there is ZESA, whether there is no ZESA. Your PV will work full on. And that's a huge advance in the technology that we have done. So we are very happy with the support we're getting from the government in that regard. They don't stand in the way. They've also made it very easy for us to bring in equipment and import energy equipment into the country. They've also categorized energy as a special sector that has been receiving a lot of support even from the Reserve Bank. So in that regards, I would say they've laid the red carpet for us. Now, corporates on the other side have been a bit hesitant. I think part of it has been the challenge of the investment needed. We try to encourage that most of the customers, we don't want them to put their capital or capex into energy. Because if you are, say, a Schweppes and you sell Mazoe, that's your core business. Your core business is not energy. It's actually an accident of history that you end up trying to become an energy company. So we try to go into the client and say, let us make the investment ourselves. You commit to pay to buy the power that we generate, and we become your power partner. So between ourselves and ZESA, we become your power partner. So we will then integrate the system to make sure that it keeps your plant and your operations working seamlessly. Because what you need is good quality power. You need energy security. You also need to make sure that the cost of energy is not exorbitant. Today, if you are running a generator, it's anything up to 30 cents per kilowatt hour. Yet, if you are running solar, it's as low as 10 cents per kilowatt hour, depending on the size of the system. So it's almost 3 times cheaper to run a solar plant. So we are now encouraging corporates to take that leap of faith, because I think there's always the nervousness that says the economy is not yet stable. Can we commit to a 15-year or a 10-year deal? And that's what we ask. Commit anything between 7 to 15 years, We will make the investment. We will deploy the system. We will manage and maintain it for the next 7 to 15 years. You focus on your core business. And that way we all win, because we've built capacity and bandwidth as a business to be able to attract good quality technology. We use the economies of scale that we have and the economies of skill that we've gathered over the past few years, and we use that to keep your lights and your power working. So I think we are very excited about some of the corporates that are now beginning to take that leap of faith. We are seeing an increase in the continent. In Zimbabwe, in some cases, we are also allowing what we call joint ventures with some of the big mines. For instance, they've got a huge requirements of power. So they might be a bit nervous to let go of that power component to their business, in which case we say, come to the party, let's do a 50-50 JV, and let's both invest in this power. Your pension funds that have got a lot of infrastructure, we also allow what we call joint ventures with them, so that they can also partake in the narrative, especially the ones that have got some property portfolios, because they're not yet sure whether they should let go of their roof to someone else. We say, until you're sure, come into the party, let's build this thing together. But the future is solar, the future is green. We can have all sorts of academic conversations about all sorts of alternatives, but I can also tell you the easiest one is the sun. Zimbabwe is full of land, and we've got abundant sun. So not too much analytics needs to go into that conversation.
I see. I was actually curious because I thought it would be the other way around. Corporates would be more receptive and then the government would be more resistant. But it's good to hear that the regulator and the government are making it as easy as possible.
I think corporate, it's a timing issue. The corporate is also, when you have got the macroeconomics makes the corporates very nervous to make commitments. So I'm saying to them, I will do the investment in your corporate. Don't worry, we'll put it on our balance sheet. Can you commit to a 7-year or 10-year? The corporate is saying, oops, Norman, how do I commit to a 7 years? I'm not even sure if I'm going to be around for the next 7 months. So that's a difficult conversation, and I hear them. And then I think the other side is then the corporate tries to put it on their own balance sheet. And I'm saying, well, shouldn't you be using that capex to focus on your core business? So we get stuck in between that conversation, but it's beginning to progress. I think we've seen Deltas, the SWEPs of this world, obviously Econet of this world, the Kefalos of this world beginning to make that leap of faith, and the results and the benefits has been significant, that I think the confidence is building up. So I think the issue is really, you've got the roofs that is idle, and you've a car park that is a dumb car park. Allow me to cover your cars and start generating power for your business. Allow me to put PV on top of your roof and start saving you energy, a cost of energy, and give. And you have to remember, for ZESA to survive, they need to start charging the correct price. And when they get to that space, then the cost of energy is going to be much higher than what it is today.
Interesting. So are there any sort of deals you have planned in Zimbabwe, or that the ones you can speak to that are close, that you can say, oh no, we've made progress with X, Y, and Z corporations, or we've made progress with X, Y, and Z property developers who want to lease out their spaces to say, listen, solar's the future. Let's begin to invest back. And especially now with ZESA's net metering, that a grid-tied systems, the ones DPA offers, you can then put that energy back onto the grid and essentially help balance the power deficiency in the country. Are there some deals that you can speak to in respect to that?
So I would answer. So the best way is we've got around 65 megawatts worth of projects that are at different levels of development. Some are getting signed, some are already signed, some are sitting at board level, and some are sitting at desks of the legal. So nearly 65 megawatts in Zimbabwe is what we are building towards. We've got quite a very healthy pipeline, so we are very excited about that. So you can name every blue chip. They are on our book. You recently saw that we've been working with companies like Total. So we've got quite a lot of that pipeline. And I think what you get is once what we call the first nervousness about the proposition, the financial innovation we've brought in through this lease model. Once corporates went past that, the next conversation became much easier. If you look at SWEPs, we've probably done more than 4 or 5 of their assets across the country, and they're probably going to be one of the blue chips in the country that is going to completely go off green and probably be one of the most competitive companies globally from a carbon effect point of view. So we've got nearly 65 megawatts. Now, you mentioned the net metering. That's one of the reasons I'd said the government in Zimbabwe has been exceptionally, and the regulator, very progressive and very forward-looking. To date, for a 100 kilowatt system, you are allowed to do net metering. So you could actually generate enough power and feed some of it to the grid and be able to reduce your costs, because it doesn't help if you've got a load shedding. It doesn't help if you've got a blackout, because then I need to be able to draw that power at some stage. And if ZESA disappears, then you won't be able to draw that power. So it's a chicken and egg situation. We do need the grid to stabilize for net metering to work well. But that as it may, the regulation is there and it's very progressive. For instance, one of our sites it already has a net metering functional. The government has also been trying to increase the sizes of the systems that we can build. There is a significant opportunity to increase the size of the system that one can build and without needing a license. And that's a very important milestone that the government was working on, but they're progressing very well in that regards. And so that helps our case in being able to start building much bigger systems. There is also an opportunity for certain communities to start generating their own power and consuming that power without necessarily having to rely on the grid. So if you look at most communities, most of the estates that are emerging in Zimbabwe, they could do with an opportunity to build, say, a 1 megawatt as an estate, and we are happy to make that investment, and we can wire the entire estate with energy, and we can actually build a microgrid around an estate, around a university campus, around a new community that are emerging. And some of the suburbs might actually be candidates for that. And certainly mining communities will be great candidates for such. Our view is very simple. You could look at distributed energy as a competitor, or you can look at it as actually a complementary feature of the energy mix. We will never be able to take business away from, say, ZESA. We can only improve actually ZESA's performance. In fact, there is a unique opportunity that exists because ZESA today has got a very unique infrastructure within their midst. And in my other life, when I talk to entrepreneurs, I share the story of Domino Pizza, that they started preparing pizza and selling pizza, delivering pizza. And when they did their economics, they found out at some stage they were making more money from delivery of pizza than actually making the pizza. So they started developing competence and capacity to become a delivery company. ZESA today can be a generator, it can be a distributor, but one of their unique assets is the transmission infrastructure that they have. We, as distributors or IPPs, can start building power plants across the continent and use their across the country and feed that power through the ZESA network and deliver it to mines across the entire country, which means they can use their transmission as a highway to carry power from point A and deliver it to a customer who is in point B. They could actually charge for that service, and that service will make more money. I think the government has also been very progressive in not trying to protect that monopoly. There's no need for monopoly if you have a monopoly over nothing. It's important to actually leverage on some of the assets that you have. And the transmission infrastructure, the distribution infrastructure is one of the most unique infrastructure that the utility owns, which can be monetized and actually create a lot of money for the government and can certainly open up and stabilize the energy sector in the country.